When I was asked to make this speech, I felt very honored and humbled, but also a little panicked. For the first time in my life, I could not think of anything to say, which might come as a bit of a shock to you who've ever experienced a class with me. But I had sat through both of my sister's graduations, but I was not exactly listening to those class addresses for tips, and I definitely wasn't sitting there taking notes. However, as you all know very well, I do love to talk, and I really appreciate this opportunity to get one last word in before we graduate. Because after all, it's not every day you get to say something to your teachers without the threat of a bad grade hanging over your head. They're getting nervous now. Many of you have probably heard that 2014 is the town of Brighton's bicentennial. So, 200 years ago, in 1814, roughly the year that our infamous government and politics teacher, Mr. John Fredenberg, was born, our town's founders got together and made a list of 4 goals for Brighton. Now that list has been lost for decades, but wouldn't you know, this morning I was digging out around the high school and I came across that list. It says, and I'm reading straight from this list from 200 years ago, 200 years from now, our town's high school will graduate some of the best and brightest students in the country. Check. We will put on some of the greatest theatrical and musical performances ever by a high school. Check. We will win our homecoming football game. Check. And we will have the greatest cheering section at sporting events the world has ever seen. Nice job, class of 2014. If we base our success off of that list from 200 years ago, we've pretty much killed it. Go us. Now, it's impossible to look at our success as a class without acknowledging the people who helped us to get here. At Brighton, we have been blessed with some of the best teachers in the country. We went to a high school where it was cool to learn. Grades were important, but there were also tons of other outlets like theater, music, clubs, and sports for us to learn, grow, and succeed. Without some incredible people in our corner who fought to make that possible for us, we wouldn't be in this great position today. So, before I go any further, I just want to say thank you to all of those that helped us get to this point. Our teachers, our administrators, and most of all, our parents. So normally, this is the part in the speech where I'm supposed to talk about freshman year and how much we've grown since then. But then I thought about it, and we spent the most of our freshman year trying our hardest not to look like, act like, or be freshmen. So I figured, why not just skip that part, because in a couple months, we're going to be back on the bottom of the totem pole again in college. So let's just fast forward to senior year. Or more specifically, a moment in senior ball that made me really appreciate just how far we've come as a class. It was a magical night. Or at least a pretty good one. Between posing for thousands of pictures, signing Mr. Noto's white suit jacket, and riding with our friends in anything from fancy limousines to minivans, it was clear just how far we've come as a class. And it was also starting to sink in how soon we'd be leaving Brighton High School to pursue the next chapter in our lives. When I walked into the hall, I saw what seemed like our entire class dancing and having a great time. Classmates from every social group who hadn't said more than a few words to each other in 4 years were dancing together. With little over a month to go before exams, it seemed like our whole class had finally really come together. I couldn't help but compare that dance floor to the dance floors from all of those activity nights in middle school. No longer were the vast majority of us standing against the walls. No longer were we too nervous to risk making fools of ourselves by actually dancing. We as a class who had gone through so much together were able to enjoy ourselves free from the confines of your stereotypical high school cliques. It feels like some sort of cruel joke that just when our class really came together, we all need to leave and go our separate ways. The thought of leaving our family and home is scary enough, but we are also saying goodbye, temporarily, to the people who we've spent the past 13 years with, our classmates who know us like brothers and sisters. That's a scary thought. But it's also one made easier by social media, like Facebook, where you're all going to like that picture tonight. Now, when we all go our separate ways, we'll still maintain a small connection, and that will definitely make our transition a little bit easier. We have been told through our entire Brighton careers that the decisions we make will shape the world for years to come. That we must be ready to deal with the major crises plaguing society. That's a tall order. And if you asked it of me 3 months ago, I would say that we're not ready. And the reality is that we probably still aren't. But was anyone ever ready to change the world? The past 4 years at Brighton have been incredible. I've seen our entire class overcome obstacle after obstacle. We worked our butts off for 4 years, always looking forward and thinking about our futures, yet never forgetting to enjoy the moment and the people we were with in the middle of it all. It forced us to grow up, and we did. What really amazes me is that we always seem to overcome those obstacles with smiles on our faces. And more often than not, we would vastly exceed all expectations. I mean, look at what we did just a few weeks ago with Bald for Bucks. We nearly tripled our goal of $12,000 by raising over $30,000 for cancer research and teens living with cancer. We did all of this while managing to live in the moment, enjoying ourselves and the people around us, no matter how hard and stressful the work got. Nothing will work unless you do, Maya Angelou once said. And she definitely knew what she was talking about. And we all certainly put in the work during our years at BHS. And I like to think that we did so with smiles on our faces. I'll go as far as to say that the most important thing we learned at Brighton was to find the joy in the work we did, no matter what that work was. When we look around us to the mountains of problems with the world that we are expected to deal with, I know it is that enthusiasm and joy which will guide us to make the world a better place. The author Kurt Vonnegut once said, "True terror is to wake up one morning and discover that your high school class is running the country." Not only does that not scare me, but I'm actually looking forward to that morning, because I know that if our high school class is running the country, not only will we succeed, but we'll find a way to enjoy every minute of it. Thank you.
The Senior String Ensemble will now perform Symphony 25 Finale by Franz J. Haydn.